Now this is another full HD 1080p resolution projector from VIVIBRIGHT. Now this is a budget projector, but my friends, this delivers a far better image than budget. Let's take a closer look. Now, just a quick disclaimer before we start the review, we were sent this projector for free, but we are not being paid for this review, and we've not been asked to say anything particular about this device. All of the comments that I mention are my own personal thoughts. Right, let's get on with it. So I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago that you do have to be very careful when buying budget projectors because you're often misled by the seller, and you'll see a lot of things like 1080p support or 4K support, when in actual fact what they really mean is that you can just put a source in for that type of resolution when the actual resolution will be far less. And so make sure you look for native resolution when you're buying a projector. So it's good that some of these budget projectors like this, the new VIVIBRIGHT F30, have come in with 1080p full HD native resolution. And that, my friends, is pretty good for a budget projector. Now, what is budget? I'm hearing you say. Well, budget in this case is $229, which is not a lot for what really can be described as a full movie type projector. Now this is probably, in my opinion, the absolute minimum level of projector you ought to be looking at if you really want that movie cinema type experience at home. Anything less than this and you'll probably end up disappointed, and as we all know, you can spend hundreds and even thousands more. So this has limited connections. There is only one HDMI point, but then in my opinion you only need one. It is nice to see an optical output, and on the other side at the back you've got the controls for the menu options where you can turn the thing on and you can go through the different screens. How easy that would be to navigate, I'm not sure if this was, for instance, up on a shelf, but hey, you've got a controller that comes with it as well, so it's no big deal. So the projector itself feels fine. It's not going to win any awards for design, and it's certainly not made of the most premium materials, but you can't expect that for a budget projector. But I think it looks pretty good. It's got some nice features like the vertical manual keystone correction, and you've got the focus ring on the side, and it's nice and simple, and I do like the simple little kickstand for adjusting the height, although that is just adjustable to one position only. This does also have a lens cap cover to protect the lens, but it's not attached to the projector, so you'll probably lose it within about 5 minutes. Okay, it's now time to drop that big screen and see what image we get. Now this is the daytime image, which, is not the worst that we've seen, but what's really impressive is when it gets dark or you shut the blinds and you get the brightness of the screen. It is just incredibly impressive. Very, very impressive for just over $200. Now, the things that you'll notice with budget projectors is that they do tend to lose some focus around the extremes. So if you look at the four corners, it will be a little bit more blurry than what it would be on a much more expensive model. But half the time you're looking in that middle section of the screen, and this is pretty sharp, and I was really, really impressed with the colors, how vivid they were, and how bright. I'll go on to some of the menu settings in a second, but this type of image is definitely far better than what I was expecting. Another thing you do have to bear in mind when buying a cheaper projector is the amount of fan noise. Have a listen to this. So this means you really do need to make sure that you're positioned far enough away from the actual projector itself not to have that noise bother you. This projector, in my opinion, is not the best if you were going to be using it for presentations. To give you an example of the text, if you look at the Echo Show thumbnail in the top right corner, you can see that in those extremes it will be a little bit blurry, and even when you do zoom in, you're still not getting the sharpest amount of text. So definitely, if you're thinking of getting a projector where you're going to be using it on occasions to present, and you're looking at Word documents or anything with substantial amount of text, then this probably isn't the one for you. But certainly in terms of just watching TV and movies, then this is absolutely fine. Let's have a look at one of my videos. Now this is the Echo Show 5, and as you can see, this is a 1080p video, and I think it does a really good job. So if you're in the market for one of these type of projectors, then you may want to hit the red button and subscribe, because I'm going to be doing a comparison video in the next few weeks with a couple of these budget 1080p projectors and comparing them to a mid-range, or one which is a very popular one, and that's the Optima HD 143X, which is about double the price. So therefore that will be coming in a few weeks, guys, so make sure you hit the red button and then you can see the actual differences. Okay, so let's now have a look at some of the tech specs so that you know exactly what you're comparing it against. Okay, so some of the main tech specs for this projector are the resolution. Obviously we've already mentioned a full 1080p HD 1920 by 1080. The lumens is one of the brightest that we've seen in a budget projector at 4200. Contrast ratio 15,000 to 1. It does recommend a maximum screen size of 180 inches, which I think is quite good, because sometimes again these manufacturers say 300-inch screens, and if you blew this up to 300 it would just be far too much. You also have that vertical keystone connection of 15 degrees, and you've got connections of USB, HDMI and the optical audio, which make this not a bad projector at all. When you turn the projector on, you're presented with just 4 simple options, and there you can connect to the media that you wish. Now, I was also very impressed with the amount of controls on the actual menu. So you can change a lot of things with this menu, which again is unusual for a projector in this price range. You've got lots of different options from the different aspect ratios. There are also different picture modes. You can set the movie mode, a user mode, dynamic mode, and really what that's doing is just adjusting and setting the contrast and brightness, but you can change this depending on what you want. You can reduce the display size. You can't increase it, but you can reduce it, and again that's a nice feature depending on how big or small your room is and where the projector is positioned. Now, there are a few different options on the sound, and I would recommend, as I've always said on any projector video that I've done a review on, use a different source for the sound, because the speakers inbuilt within this and pretty much every other projector I've seen are just not up to the job. You've got a great big image, pair it with some better sound. Now, you do have the ability to have this as a rear projecting, a ceiling projector, or just a standard sit in front. So therefore that's a nice option, and you can mount this to most independent and universal ceiling mounts. So in summary, my friends, my main pros and cons for this are, the pros definitely would be the picture quality. It surpassed my expectations, and that brightness is really, really good, and that therefore makes this overall great value for money. The text is not always in focus, so bear that in mind if you're wanting a projector that does, for instance, presentations. The fan noise is quite loud, and having that adjustable leg, although it's good in some respects, it does give you limited options when positioning the projector, so you just need to have those things in mind when purchasing. But that's it, my friends. Thanks as always for watching this video. I hope it's been useful for you and helpful, and I will see you on the next one.